Hi everyone, we are at the Digestion Connection. I'm Melissa Batali, health coach, advocate of raw food. I'm here bringing Sky Kubby, who is the director, founder of Medicinal Foods, which I love, by the way. Lots of really yummy raw chocolates. Really just a high-level brand of natural foods, living sources of, really what Sky does is bring the highest quality of natural energy to you in one package in Medicinal Foods. And he also is the author of the Raw Chocolate Diet and many, many other things that you do. Hi, Sky. Welcome.
Hi, Melissa. It's always a pleasure, and thanks again for having me on the summit. I think you always seem to get me while I'm up in the mountains.
I did, yeah. I remember last time you were in Peru or something. This time you're in Lake Tahoe. I love that.
Yeah, this topic is so dear to my heart and my stomach, of course. And being, as you know, living in Hawaii for the last 15 years, but coming back to the cold and to the mountains, I gotta keep that digestive fire happening and stoked. And it's a very real thing that if I prepare ahead of time and eat the right foods. I was just in Colorado, getting some righteous powder skiing in as well, and living with my friend Skanda, the founder of Sambazan, the acai company, and he's really into cooking with Ayurvedic spices, which is something I love. We prepared the khichdi, which is sattvic, pure Ayurvedic kind of food for conducive to meditation and cleansing. But he's a Vata body type as well, like I know you and I, and everyone's different. And so Vatas in particular, it's not so easy to eat raw foods in the middle of winter and keep that digestive agni or fire stoked.
Right.
So I felt the most in balance in the mountains with 2 feet of powder that had fallen. We got 2 feet out here in Lake Tahoe, and we had now they've gotten several feet in Colorado. But being out there and cooking with these warming spices, which we'll get into, is definitely something that kept my agni fire and digestion going, but just balanced my whole being overall. So I'm excited to get into some of that, and it's a pleasure to be here, Melissa.
Oh, me too. I'm excited about that as well. Yeah, and this is such an amazing topic, and we have such a great team, as you know, of experts, and our with all of our knowledge combined, we're giving people this really impactful summit. Today, I'd really love to talk about a couple different things. One, the Agni fire, digestive fire that you're speaking of, and it's so important for us to know kind of where we are in understanding that, but also where we are in kind of, like you speak about our doshas and our Ayurvedic type as well. But also I'd love to talk about food combining, because that's such an important thing for our bodies as well, to not only stimulate the digestive system, but to feel good and to be able to have peak performance, basically.
Yeah, Melissa, people cram food down their bodies like they're garbage disposals and just don't even, you think we can just handle it. And digesting food is the hardest thing our body has to do. And so they expect miracles, and our body is a miracle, but we have to do it in the right way. And, we got to chew our food, right? That's a major thing. I think last time we spoke, we talked about the quote, chew your water and drink your food.
Yes.
And in order to drink your food, we need to be able to chew it first. So it really took me a long time to realize the connection between my health and my stomach, and just all the discoveries I had along the way led me to the creation of this Medicinal Foods. And if you notice the tagline, the ancient future of food, I like to focus on indigenous wisdom and stuff that has transcended time and principles that really work. And so when we look at what the ancients did, the ancient astrologers would go and they would relate all the zodiac to different organs, and the one the Cancerian is ruled by the stomach. I'm a triple Cancer.
Oh, wow.
So all the more reason I had to be on it with my digestion. And, there's another ancient quote you've probably heard before, the Chinese proverb, the key to prevention is healthy digestion. So, this is what we're talking about here.
Right.
And to be able to digest our foods properly, we need to combine them properly. So I'm going to get into food combining, and I want the listeners to take out your notepads because I'm going to drop a lot of knowledge here real fast. And, I had some terrible lung infections, asthma, candida. I was in a chronic state, and if you're in a chronic state of dis-ease and you're healing from that, you got to get it together with your food combining. If you're a fiery pitta and you've got that digestive fire going and you live in the tropics and you can eat cooling foods and that balances your dosha, then you might be able to get away like my wife with eating fish tacos. Now, that's where it comes up. We're going to talk about the rules and we're going to talk about how to break them. And so the food combining rules 101, just at the top of your paper, make a circle and write veggies. And then make a triangle between the bottom two sides, the veggies and the proteins. Okay, veggies and the proteins, make a line between them. This is the food pyramid that you want to be aware of. The veggies combine well with the proteins. The veggies combine well with the starches. Okay, we got starches and proteins, and they do not combine well together at all. In fact, when you combine starches and proteins, you create putrefaction. Right. And when you combine the starches with sugar, you get fermentation.
Fermentation, yeah.
And so, basically you get farts, okay? And then if you combine starches with the protein, you get smelly farts. Now, some people are like, well, who cares? What's the big deal? But I can tell you, when you have sugar and starch combo, you create acetyl alcohol. A lot of alcoholics give up alcohol and they go straight to sugar and starches because they're making the alcohol in their stomach. And you may have gotten up in the middle of the night feeling kind of groggy, and that's because you're drunk. Mm-hmm. And so the acetyl alcohol builds up in your body, makes it difficult to sleep, and wreaks havoc on your hormonal imbalance. So what we want to do is we want to have our veggies that combine very well with our starches. Starches are any grain that you're doing, maybe your quinoa and rice. And we want to do it in the 80-20 rule. 80% veggies, about 20% starches. Then you want to have 80% veggies in another meal with about 20% protein. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're having some fish, like in Hawaii, I spearfish and we have the pure fish from the Pacific, and I'll have 80% veggies, like a nice big salad with some fish and a bunch of sauerkraut on there to get also that digestive, the probiotics going, as well as just helping digest the food with the enzymes. Mm-hmm. So
you're saying you can mix fermented food with that?
I'm saying you want to, a little bit of fermented food is good. It has, in fact, I've got something here from OHI, Optimal Health Institute, on fermented foods. Cool. And I'll just go over the benefits of fermented foods. They aid in digestion because they fortify the friendly bacteria in the digestive system so we can get the most nutrients out of the food. They have lactic acid, which helps break down the bad bacteria, loaded with enzymes. And enzymes are needed for everything in your body, but there's so much that enzymes do. Really, the last thing that enzymes do is digest food. Enzymes are responsible for so many other things in your metabolic process and helping your body in general. So cooked food really doesn't have any enzymes. Raw food has some enzymes, but when you ferment the food, that's where you just get tons of enzymes. Right. Sprouted foods have the most, high in B vitamins, proteins, and carbs. They're pre-digested, so you're getting. You can start digesting the proteins and amino acids and carbohydrates. It does the work for you. Mm-hmm. Because they're pre-digested. It gets you energy in an efficient manner in your body. But fermented foods, you got to be careful. You don't want to overdo it. I mean, they're still it's acidic, and you can kind of overly acidify your body if you're just going for cold fermented foods. For our Vata body types is other than the best thing in the middle of winter. So go easy with those fermented foods, but they will help either a starch meal or a protein meal in moderation.
And you're saying like after a meal that people should be eating fermented foods so that it helps the breakdown, or during the meal?
At medicinal-foods.com, you'll find under the blog section a cavity healing protocol. Mm-hmm. And part of that is, strong teeth resist bacteria and acid. However, on your way to building strong teeth, you still want to cut down the amount of acidic foods that you have on your teeth. So a good thing to do is to eat the fermented food with your food. Mm-hmm. So, you've got say you're having some steamed chard, and with your salad, have a little bit of sauerkraut, for example, and chew it up with the other alkalizing food. So it's not just that acid on your teeth at the end of your meal that you're leaving there. Always good to rinse your mouth or brush your teeth gently afterwards. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've got this food pyramid thing we got going here. Now I was in a really poor state of health, and when I started studying iridology and saw how off my digestive system was, it's kind of the ring around the center of the eye, and I was working with this nutritionalist. He put me on a food journaling program. And I highly suggest this because I thought, I'm going to the natural food store, I'm eating healthy. Right. And it turned out that cookie that was about this big, that had the fruit juice sweetener, was just a big fermentation bomb going off in my stomach. And then I wasn't waiting enough time between meals. So that's another thing we'll talk about, transit times and how much time in between food. They say, okay, give 3 hours between a meal. Not everyone's going to do that. Right. So I'm going to go through a list of transit times and how long it actually takes for you to have food go through your body, so that you can go for the next meal.
Super important. Yeah.
Ideally, if you waited 3 hours between a starch and a protein meal, then that's great. But like I said, let's learn the rules and let's learn how to break them, because not everyone is going to do that.
Right. So let's start with like the macronutrient level of like fruits and vegetables, or whatever the carbohydrate volume is. Carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Is that
okay?
How
so
you
let's go back to that food pyramid.
Okay.
We got the veggies on top. We got starches over here and proteins over here. Mm-hmm. Now let's say carbohydrates and veggies here. Great combo.
Yeah.
But if that carbohydrate is a fruit, then when you eat a fruit and a veggie together, it's not necessarily going to be the best combo, because you're probably going to get gas. Okay, if you eat a bunch of broccoli and you eat a bunch of tangerines, for example, bad combo. Just real quick, the fruits are broken down into acidic, subacid, and alkaline fruits, we'll just say. But let's just focus on the acidic and subacid fruits. The subacid fruits you can get away with combining with vegetables, but this is how you break the rule. You blend it. You take apple, a subacid fruit, or they're broken down into sweet, acidic, and subacid. Okay, so a banana would be a sweet food. You take a banana or an apple, it'll work with a kale smoothie. You blend it up, everything's going to be a lot more digestible. I just interviewed David Wolfe. He was telling me with the NutriBullet, you've got about 40% more absorption or more with doing, with actually blending the food. So it's a way you can combine, like I said, some subacid fruits and some vegetables together. But with those fruits, especially the acidic fruits and the sweet fruits, you want to kind of, you want to just keep fruit separate. And I love fruit. Sweet fruits are very balancing for a Vata body type. So I live on a tropical fruit tree farm. I had candida issues and I couldn't eat my fruit, and it was really something that was driving me crazy. So I worked on clearing the candida, and we've got some really powerful tools at medicinal-foods.com. This nano silver product that really helps clinically proven to kill the candida, as well as the Vitae elixir that goes to the very roots of that candida. You do a 3-month program with these really powerful purple drops, these herbs that will kill the roots of the candida. But I learned how to eat fruit correctly. And although it's an extreme diet, in my opinion, the 80-10-10 kind of more fruitarian diet, I really got to honor those people because they've taught me how to eat fruit in the right way, which is all by itself, usually first thing in the morning, totally free from the oils. The oils will coat your cell and not allow the fruit sugars to penetrate the cell, because your body wants to use that up really quickly and be done with the fruit. Burn up that sugar in the cell and be done with it. But what happens is it stays on the outside of the cell and starts growing fungus and bacteria and creating candida. And so don't put oil in your fruit smoothie. Don't put hemp oil in there with your fruit and your protein powder and blend it all up. The body digests things really well when they know what's coming, when you have you eat at a regular time. Your body really likes that consistency, and it likes the same kind of food. I got to say, when I was eating this khichdi out there in Colorado, these warming Ayurvedic spices with lentils, normally I can't digest. I never eat lentils because they give me the farts. And I just it just feels like I'm not really digesting them, and they're not the best thing for me. But doing them blended with these mung bean dal lentils with these warming spices and rice, I digested it so well. I skied all day. I skied some incredible powder. My friend invited me to ski his own private ski area. And it was amazing because I hiked boot packed all day. I had tons of energy, but I was eating this one food pretty much for every meal. It was mung bean, dal, and warming herbs and rice. And I felt nourished, and because it's all about absorption, right? So, this idea of being able to just give our body something on a timely manner, and it being a similar kind of food, and not just throwing the whole kitchen sink at it like you would in your smoothie. Keep it simple. Do your fruits first in the morning. If you like eating fruits, let them absorb, and wait a good few hours before you have your savory meal to kind of ground out. But let's get into the transit times, because it's let's get real about exactly how long it takes for these foods to go through your body for optimal digestion. So,
and I think it's really important too, because a lot of times, there's all these advanced techniques that we know. There's all these just really next level, like, oh wow, there's these little things that we can look at, and superfoods and super herbs and all this stuff. But then when it comes down to it, the question I get, the most, or after a while, when people start listening in to what we're talking about or anything, is how do I start?
What do I eat? What do I eat? Right.
What do I eat?
Yeah. So to me, this food combining pyramid is a really great place to start, because if you can just get these basic concepts down, you're going to really lighten the load. You'll probably drop 3 to 5 pounds of colon matter, just because you're not. See, what happens is you eat the starch, and the digestion begins in the mouth. So that's why you really want to chew and chew and chew and get those digestive enzymes going. If you're drinking a smoothie, you want to chew and chew and chew, get those carbs broken down. Once your starch hits your stomach, and that stomach acid, it doesn't really digest much, okay, until you hit your lower intestine. And so basically, if you go ahead and eat protein, dogs, they just gulp down a big chunk of meat, and it goes straight to their stomach acid, and that acid burns it up. So thus, if you have a weak stomach acid, you can do things like hydrochloric acid, just to kind of stimulate the energy. We could talk more about that if you want to go into that. You can do enzyme therapy. One of the best ways to, just throw another tip out there, digestive tip, if you can eat 2 almonds first thing in the morning, after you have your water, and we'll just go through. Here, I'll just tell you right now. The transit time for water is 1 to 10 minutes. Okay,
Cool.
so get your morning water, drink that. If you want to really get your digestive stuff going right before your meal, not right before your meal, but about 20 minutes before your meal, squeeze some lemon, little apple cider vinegar, and warm water. Drink that. Get your digestive fire going.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could chew 2 almonds, raw almonds, and I mean really chew them until it's water,
Mm-hmm.
it's liquid, if you can do that first thing in the morning, like we said, maybe 10 minutes after you drink some water, you will have equal to or more benefits of an enzyme type therapy than just even taking enzymes themselves, because of what you do with your saliva and breaking down those almonds. This was given to me by the folks over at loveyourliver.com. And so helping with just getting that enzyme power going. But let's keep going here.
I have a question before you keep going about the almonds and the fruit, though. Because if we're starting, like if we, and I do this as well, I start my day with fruit for sure, and it's so balancing for my body. But then the almonds are a fat substance, a fat protein / but mostly fat substance. Then how is that combined?
It's a great question. So learn the rules so you learn how to properly break them. I mean, Dalai Lama said that. I'm not going to take credit for it, but so how you can properly break them. And so that's the idea here. I would say definitely don't eat almonds and eat fruit at the same time. However, we're talking about using the almonds in a way that is more of an enzyme therapy.
Right.
So we're talking 2 almonds, okay? 2 almonds if you chew them properly, then they'll give you more of a benefit than you're going to have as a problem associated with the little bit of fat that's in them. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're talking about people like gobbing in the coconut oil with their fruit smoothie,
right.
That kind of thing. That's what you want to stay away from.
Right.
So,
because that's kind of overt fat, right? So it's already in the oil. That's a big trend actually in like the paleo world and whatever. It's like your fruit and your protein and your fat and your almond butter and your coconut oil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do the cacao elixir, one of my products that's got maca, mucuna, ashwagandha, chlorella, spirulina, and it's similar to what cacao shamans have brewed up thousands of years ago. And that's a great way to look at it, because you've got these powders. It's got hemp protein in there. If you wanted to go and add the coconut oil in there, that's great, but use stevia as your sweetener.
Right.
Okay, but if you wanted to go the other route and add honey in there and sweeten it like that, then you wouldn't want to
put coconut oil.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Rejuvelac is back to these transit times, food and liquid transit times, just so if you're drinking Rejuvelac or any kind of fermented beverage, it says 1 to 15 minutes from the Optimal Health Institute. Now, if you're having kombucha, okay, you don't want to have it with your meal. I mean, for optimal digestion, I know there's enzymes in it, but if you have anything bubbly, anything that has a lot of kombuchas, they're putting in the gas. Okay, so whether it's bubbly because it's been fermented or because they're adding gas to it, all that's going to do is just mess with your digestion. You're going to have super farts afterwards. And so, like here's a transit time, at least, 15 minutes. Rejuvelac is a little less bubbly than like a kombucha, but I try to wait 15 minutes to half an hour if I have something bubbly like that before I have a main meal.
Right.
And speaking of main meals, we've got a digestive fire that we got to keep stoked. When we start off in the morning, we have we've got the fire that kind of almost, maybe it almost has gone out from the night before, and we want to stoke it gently. Maybe have some tea and have a little bit of food, have a little bit of fruit, like we're talking about. But if you pound a giant meal of breakfast, you might put out that fire. Just think of it like logs. You put too many logs on the fire, you put out the digestive fire. You don't want to drink ice water to put out we'll get more into the digestive fire in a moment. But so fruit juice, 15 to 30 minutes on the transit time. Fruit is 30 to 60 minutes. Melons, which should be eaten alone, are 30 to 60 minutes. Sprouts, 1 hour. Wheatgrass juice, an hour. Most vegetables, 1 to 2 hours. Grains and beans, 1 to 2 hours. For me, it probably takes more like 6 hours to digest beans unless they're prepared in this Ayurvedic way. Dense vegetable protein, nuts, seeds, avocados, 2 to 3 hours. Cooked meat and fish, 3 to 4 hours. Shellfish is, as you know, the most difficult thing to digest, 4 to 8 hours plus. So, rewind the video, get these numbers down, and have an idea for what you're doing to your stomach when you want things to move through you somewhat completely before you go into the next meal. It's going to give you way more energy, way more clarity, just a better sense of feeling. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is to feel better so that we can take our healing to the next level, so we can feel better in our physical body temple, so we can not have dis-ease.
Right.
So.
Right. And for some, for all those transit times, it's so fascinating because when we start to what you call stoke our fire and get our digestive fire going, especially when people change their diet, and sometimes this happens when people do an extreme shift, is that they promote almost too quick of transit time, like they're they'll start to see undigested food and stuff like that because they've rushed into something new. Right.
Yeah, that goes with getting your body used to eating a certain kind of food, and not putting, just keeping it simple. I mean, simple. Have a lot of us, for the winter time, it's a good time to eat those grounded root vegetables, sweet potatoes, steamed veggies, and if you're a raw foodist, or if you're what I am, a whole foodist, because I try to be not non-dogmatic with my approach to diet, and since I've been that way, I've just been a whole lot healthier. For one thing, not worrying about my food. That's probably one of the most challenging things. Is when you have when you're out of balance, you really start worrying about your food and worrying about what you eat and what do I eat. So just whatever it is that you're doing, keeping it happy, simple. Like my wife likes to imagine little smiley faces on all of her cells. Breathing deep, especially right into this area of your stomach. That's where a lot of people carry tension, and to just breathe into that area. A lot of times you'll just end up having a big burp. If you are burping, you're usually eating your food too quickly. So that could help with maybe some of that undigested food. But a lot of the undigested food comes from poor food combining. I mean, imagine the traditional meat and potatoes American diet. You have the protein comes in, the starch comes in, and while the stomach acid is really and poorly chewed food, the stomach acids can start breaking down the protein, but then the starch, nothing's happening with it until it moves down into the intestines, where nothing happens to the protein then. So there's bits of each protein and starch that are remaining undigested. Yeah. So you could try stoking that fire, like I said, with some hydrochloric acid.
Right.
That secretion in one study with people with gallstones, about half of them showed that they had decreased HCl secretion.
Oh, wow.
Diabetics that had lower secretion, people with eczema, psoriasis, tooth disease, all associated with low stomach acids. And also they had increased amount of bacteria, yeast, and parasites growing in the intestine. So this is not something you want to just take all the time, but it's something that can help get the digestive fire going. Another thing that can help is these warming spices and herbs.
Yeah.
Ginger, cumin, herbs for agni or fire in Ayurveda, which is the study of the body of knowledge of health, one of the most ancient texts we have on the planet. Herbs for agni are aloe, black pepper, cardamom, cayenne, cinnamon, fennel, and ginger. So even eating like at a sushi restaurant, a little bit of ginger before your meal, that's what it's for. That's the point, is because it gets that digestive fire going. And in fact, since we're on ginger, it's been called the universal medicine, whether it's a juice. I mean, I love chopping up a bunch of ginger or grating ginger and squeezing it into my cup and then pouring hot water on top with a little bit of honey. I mean, that's just like super digestive activation. So a warm cup of ginger tea, 10, 20 minutes before your meal can really help get that fire going. As well as fennel, cardamom, cumin, like we're saying, coriander.
I had an Ayurvedic practitioner once had me chew on fennel seeds right before meals, and I loved that actually. It was like she made me a mixture. I'm trying to remember what else was in there, but it was like fennel seeds and probably cardamom pods and something else. Like, it was so awesome, and I just remember doing that, and it was a little bit hard for me to digest all like the seeds because you have to kind of chew on it.
Yeah. Well, when you go to the Indian food restaurant, they have that little bit of fennel and some other spices afterwards to help with digestion. So they know what's up. And I had a yogini girlfriend once, and that she was a cardamom addict. She was a super vata body type, and she just had cardamom pods that she'd be popping open and chewing all the time, and she had great digestion. But I studied in Colorado when I was ski raced with the U.S. ski team out there, members, and ski raced on the University of Colorado ski team. I studied with Dr. John Duyard, an Ayurvedic doctor who was a triathlete who met with this Ayurvedic doctor, and the guy said he's killing himself. And he said that basically he would just be going so hard, and that at the end, if he had a weekend off or something, he would just get sick because his body was, needing the time to eliminate, and it was just too much stress. So he is an amazing Ayurvedic doctor now, and he shared some research with me on spices and digestion. And so this is some digestive studies that show that just the spices alone increase bile flow, increase pancreatic enzyme activity, so no need for digestive enzymes with that, increase small intestine activity, no need for digestive enzymes, decrease gas and bloating, no need for hydrochloric acid supplements, increase fat and sugar metabolism, huge free radical scavengers, support optimal weight, support microbiology health, especially ginger because it's got the ginger bug on it. That's why we make this probiotic drink in Hawaii called the Sunshine Mix, which is ginger, turmeric, honey, and a little bit of lemon, and it just creates this bubbly probiotic soda. Ferments in a few days because of that ginger bug.
You ferment it in
It's great medicine just as it is.
Yeah.
And the recipe's on my site, but I'll give it to you right now. A pint of ginger, a pint of honey, a pint of ginger, a pint of olena or turmeric, and a half a pint of honey. And you can add lemon in too, but if you set it in a warm area, maybe above your stove with a pilot light lit, it's going to go ahead and ferment in like 3 days and become this incredibly probiotic drink. When you do your own cultures, you've got trillions of probiotic cells rather than the dead babies that are in the capsules.
Yeah.
So, it's a great thing to do, and again, not to go overboard on, especially around your mealtime. So,
Right.
the last part of this research here was it decreased H. pylori, these spices documented, and we've got all the clinical studies on this. Digestive stimulants quicken the transit time in the intestines to support better elimination. So that's pretty powerful that spices can do all that, because that's what all the drug companies are trying to do, right?
Well, it is really powerful because it's, and from kind of a more scientific perspective too, it's decreasing H. pylori because it's not decreasing your stomach acid, which H. pylori like actually thrives in an alkaline environment,
Oh, wow.
that bacterial pathogen. And so it's so interesting because it's not only decreasing or increasing your ability to produce probiotic flora, but it's allowing you to keep the right amount of stomach acid to decrease those bacterial pathogens, H. pylori. That's amazing.
I didn't know that. That's great to know. That's really cool.
That's cool.
So we're talking about digestive fire, agni.
Yeah.
Agni is the fire, and so signs of like healthy agni are if you look at your tongue and your tongue is pink, that's a good sign. If you're hungry for your next meal, it's a good sign. Regular bowel movements, and I'm not a poopologist, but I know that if your poop floats, that usually that's a good sign. Or if it's somewhat loose. If you have a clear mind, you have clear, glowing skin, and you have good energy, that's all healthy agni fire.
Mm-hmm.
But things to watch out for if you are out of balance is a whitish coating on your tongue. So that's a sign of ama or toxins and distress. You want to use your tongue scraper to clear out those toxins first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Brush your tongue, brush your cheeks, brush your entire mouth. Is a great thing to do, at least a few times a week. Stinky poop, clouded thinking, gas, tiredness, laziness. These are signs you've got to get your digestive fire going.
Right.
So Vata people like us have varied fire. We can be really fiery and sometimes not at all. But Pitta, they have a strong agni because they have their own natural heat going on. They run hot. But whatever it is that their strength is, that's what their imbalance can be as well. Like my wife is a Pitta, so she, if she eats too many spicy foods, she can get out of balance. Or what she has real trouble with is these real acidic foods, because acidic or fiery, like it just makes her sick to her stomach sometimes eating a powerful kombucha or jun. Right. And also some fermented foods can throw her out of whack. So similarly, vatas are, if your dosha is vata, if you're thin and get cold easily, your thing that can throw you out of balance is, you may be cool as a cucumber, but if you eat too much cold foods like ice things and that you can get too cooling. So, and then the last dosha, the kapha, the heavy, oily, slow digestion. You load yourself up with too much nuts and heavy, oily foods, that's going to throw you out of balance as well. Yeah. So it's good to know your dosha. You can do a mind-body type and find out what you are, and find out what herbs and spices will balance you, and that can make a big difference in your digestion activation.
Right. And I love it because we can add all of these things to our unique tool belts, right? It's like just another tool to add into your understanding of your body and your body type, or whether you resonate with the entire thing of your dosha or not, or just part of it, something of that will help you stimulate this fire that he's talking of. So it's really awesome. And that's actually the first practitioner that really started helping me on my healing journey was an Ayurvedic practitioner. So it's really dear to my heart, that this study.
And your stomach.
And my stomach.
Yeah, it blows me away that when you get the concept of digestive fire, you think, okay, where's my fire? How much is it? It's like a if you've tended to a fire, you got to stoke it gently at first, and it builds up. And another great thing to be tuned in with is in relation to the sun. Our digestion is in relation to the sun. The moon works with the feminine cycles and the tides, and the sun works with us, obviously, as well. Father Sun is connected with our digestive fire. So where's the sun in the day? Is it just waking up? Is it just going down? Has it already gone down? The best time to have your biggest meal is midday, when the sun is at its highest fire. That's when you have the most digestive fire. So at lunchtime, you have your biggest meal. Try to eat before the sun goes down. Once the sun goes down, your digestive fire is already in fast mode, and it's just kind of, the fire is just kind of concentrated in those like coals, and getting ready to, go through the night and to wake up again the next morning. So try not to eat too late. Try to, if you're having digestive problems and you find yourself wanting to snack at night, have the willpower to not eat a bunch of food. And one thing, if you're really having those cravings and you really need to eat something, but have it be medicinal. Have it be, let's say you have to have the midnight snack, and instead of going in there to eat the fried chicken, get a big bowl of salad. Maybe not a big bowl, a small bowl of salad. Put some sardines on there, and then put a big pile of sauerkraut. Okay? And then, chew it really well and eat it really well, and you're getting the probiotics, you're getting the roughage. You've always heard, eat your salad first. So I did a little research about that, and I found out what's really going on. I used to think, okay, the salad goes in and it coats the lining of your intestines and makes secretions happen so that the food kind of goes through better. But what I found out is, for raw food people, that there's actual inflammation that occurs in the stomach when you eat cooked food. They did some studies and found out that even if you're eating cooked food, if you eat the raw food first, then that inflammation doesn't happen. Right. So eat your raw veggies, eat your cultured veggies. Try not to eat them. Whatever you got on your plate that's raw and alive and has enzymes in it, eat it first, and have your cooked stuff afterwards. So that's another little tip.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great food combining tip, actually. For sure.
I have a few more tips here that I just want to make sure I get out before we. I know we're probably wrapping up soon, but I do something that you want to help your digestion along as much as possible, and so what I've learned to do is these kind of belly rolls. If you can see my hand like this.
We can't see your hand very well.
Okay, let's see here.
There we go.
How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pulling in the top and rolling down like this kind of motion. You see that?
Yeah.
So that can really push down. You also can pull in in a clockwise motion. You want to pull up and around your descending colon, around your rib cage, down your descending colon, around your ascending colon, and you want to just work around like that. And if you have ever done any colon hydrotherapy, they'll teach you how to massage your colon, but you want to work in that manner. And definitely squatting helps. I noticed that post you made, Melissa, about the proper pooping position.
Proper pooping.
Really helps. So, massaging that around, taking those belly breaths, never pushing too hard when you're on the pooper, to takes full breaths while you're doing that, and massaging can really help. If you've got crumbly, hard poops and you're eating a lot of raw food, stay away from the dehydrated raw food stuff. That can really be bad. It can really wreak havoc. Those raw crackers and stuff are great, but you want to eat them with like a juicy slice of tomato and some avocado and some sauerkraut. You want to hit that 80-20 rule. 80% veggies, 20%, 80% soft, juicy vegetables, and 20% maybe hard protein cracker. Okay, but if you're just eating those protein snacks all the time and the dehydrated raw foods, you're going to run into problems. Dehydrated foods also are coconut, chocolate. Now, I wrote the raw chocolate diet, so the whole reason I wrote that is to learn how to eat chocolate in a proper way and how to eat it in relation to all of our organs. So there's also how to cleanse every organ in that book, because I love chocolate, and especially my raw chocolate filled with superfoods as a nutrient-dense food. It talks about how to eat it. So if you're going to eat chocolate, eat it away from your meal as well. Traditionally, it was always drank as a warm beverage or just as a beverage, but there's some traditions that don't make any sense to me, like the Venezuelan tradition is to have, at the end of all their meals, they have a ice chocolate drink. And maybe it's because they got really excited when ice came along and they thought, okay, let's drink ice at the end of every meal, but I don't recommend it. Okay?
I don't recommend it, no.
Eat chocolate away from your meals. Enjoy chocolate. Let it melt on your tongue. Honor the chocolatier by letting it melt and eating it and enjoying it. We want to enjoy some of these things, but we want to also be aware of the times we eat them and in relation to which foods. So dehydrated nuts and seeds and stuff like that, stay away from them. If you're having difficulty with constipation, what you want to go for, the one seed you want to go for is the chia seed, because it absorbs 14 times its water and it becomes this amazing colon cleanser. So a great thing to do is stop eating if you're having constipation and start having the chia. You can make a little gel out of it with a couple tablespoons with some water. Another great thing if you want to do a colon cleansing chia is to blend the chia into a powder and take it like psyllium, mix it with water really fast and drink it down, and that'll pull stuff out of your colon like you won't believe.
Before it turns into gel, right?
Yeah. And one thing we do with the cacao elixir at medicinal-foods.com is mix that with the chia seeds and water and make a chocolate chia pudding.
It's so good. When you told me that last year, I was all about that.
Yes. You actually blend I blend half of the chia and I leave half the chia whole. So it looks like a tapioca chocolate chia colon cleansing pudding. And, we can have fun with this stuff and still love our colon and have healthy digestion.
Thank you so much. Yeah, those are really important and powerful things to take a look at. And I do also recommend that you go back in this video, you look at the transit times that he talked about, and you look at kind of what your digestion looks like. Are you sluggish? Are you digesting food transit too fast? Are you not really paying attention to your food combining at all? Maybe this is bringing a lot of light to your digestive symptoms or conditions above anything else. The best thing to do is just take a big wide lens look at what's going on. And I mean, if you're having trouble doing that, there's all these practitioners on the summit that can help you put some eyes on what's going on with you as well. But I love how you do it, Sky. I love the medicinal foods, ancient feel to it, because you not only bring that ancient time knowledge, that historical, really solid knowledge, but you bring in this evolved knowledge as well. Nutrition is such a young science in certain ways, and our bodies are evolving in so many ways that you really combine the two really well, and I just appreciate that, and I love to help you spread your message as well, because this is really, really good stuff.
Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, the ancient Ayurvedics, they really knew what they were talking about. And when I really healed my digestion, I was eating, every meal was slow cooked veggies with these Ayurvedic infused oils. So I would take the ghee, and you have all your spices ready, and you put them in with the ghee, and it kind of like does this little sizzle, and on very low heat, it does this sizzle, and that's how you prepare. Some seeds, like mustard seeds, need to be pre-popped so you don't get gas from them. But basically, you just put your herbs that you want together with the ghee, and you start folding in the vegetables, the chard, you could, if you're eating onions and garlic and stuff like that, you put those in first, and then you add in, your softer vegetables, and then you start mixing in the greens, and you end up with this oily, warm kind of. It's not really a stir fry, but it's more of just these soft greens that you can digest so well.
Yeah.
I ate that for about every meal with those warming spices, and it just healed my digestion. One last thing, because there's really so much information about it, but one thing I really want to get out there, as far as the leaky gut goes, a lot of people have that, and in the advanced stages of candida as well, and from the whole wheat belly thing, and from too much gluten, we get the leaky gut. And the way to heal leaky gut, one of the ways, is through the bone broth soups, and I highly suggest them. And there's a lot of bones that people are already eating that on the market, and so it's a way to honor the fish, I believe, by eating the entire thing like the Native Americans did. So at the end, after I spear fish, when we make a bone broth soup out of the head and bones, and those oils and the marrow in there are so healing for leaky gut. It's amazing. If you can get free-range, grass-fed beef bones, and you can make a soup out of it, those bones and the marrow inside is so healing for leaky gut, for cavity healing protocol. It's amazing. And so I understand if you're vegan or vegetarian, you may not want to do this, but you also may be at a point in your health where you're ready to embrace radical, radiant health. And I can tell you, I was a vegetarian for 10 years, and then I was up in Alaska, and we caught fish fresh out of the water right there, wild caught salmon. And I felt the power of the salmon. We said a prayer, we honored the salmon. It felt like a powerful healing thing for me. And so you may be ready to make a dietary shift into something that may be a more balanced approach to what you need right now. So I want to offer that up, because those ancient practices, like the bone broth soups, can be extremely healing.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I appreciate the approach of just seeing what resonates with you, and allowing for that non-dogmatic, allowing for your body to travel towards where you might feel you need to go. And oftentimes with nutrition and coaching and all of that, it is a lot of trial. It is a lot of try this in your body, see how that feels, because you are your best nutritionist, you're your best doctor, you are your best practitioner of your body. And so I really appreciate that whole approach, that, and even someone who doesn't eat meat myself, I'm not opposed to the view of what we're doing here, because I think it's so important for people to say, be empowered, and
that's
to say,
great.
okay, my body might need some kind of shift right now, or it might be a shift the other way. Who knows? So
yeah,
so
I'm glad you have that non-dogmatic approach as well. And I've been at times where I'm eating the hemp protein, the rice protein, and my digestion and the way I can assimilate foods is so powerful that I have no desire to eat. I don't feel like I have a protein deficiency. When my family wants to eat fish and I'm out there in Hawaii, I'm gonna go spearfish for them and provide like that. And I know not everyone is going to do that, can do that, but it may be a healthier choice for you if you wanted to go down that route. But it's great, to hold that space for where people are at and what they're doing. And I hope this information helps everyone out there who watches this. And just, again for bringing it all together, Melissa. You're doing great work out there.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, you make a good point about, where you're at locally too, and the spearfishing. Like, I don't have necessarily that same thing available, or someone else might not have that same thing available, but whatever is available and, in your environment is probably, something to take a look at as well. So I
Yeah.
just I love having you on. Of course, I had you on another summit last year as well, and this is just really great to continue this really strong web that we're all creating and be able to impact the world with this team that we're bringing together. So thanks for being a part of that. Sky has a free gift. We've talked about it a little bit in this interview. It's the raw chocolate diet. You can find it at the link below, medicinalfoods.com. I think it's medicinal-foods.com.
Yeah.
And you can sign up. You get it right away to your inbox. He sends you like a chapter a day or a chapter a
A
week?
week.
A
Yeah.
week.
Week.
And it's a really, really in-depth book. He goes through all the organs in the body. I've read it. I love it. I go back and read it sometimes. And his products are incredible. So go check that out at medicinal-foods.com. And for all of you listening, thank you so much for being here at the Digestion Connection. See you next time.
Yay. All right. I can't wait to see the